Hello, I'm Alicia and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I want to show you how to make the big bowl. This is great for having to pass rolls around the dinner table. You can also put craft supplies in here, or you can put some decor in here and have it as a centerpiece. So it will measure 10 inches wide by 3 inches tall. And this one has more of an angle to it versus the other ones that are on my website right now are straight up and down, which makes those ones a little bit simpler than this one. So like this, how it just goes straight up and down, which is really easy and very beginner friendly. But this one, we're going to angle it just a little bit. So when we make baskets, we always start on the inside and work our way out. So I have done 9 rows for my base of the basket, and then I've gone up 7 rows. And so all you'll need is cotton filler cord. I used 8 yards. I am a tight weaver, and so for me, 8 yards, I just came to 8 yards. If you are a really loose weaver and your basket is more floppy and looser, you may need slightly more than 8 yards. You'll also need just 1 roll of string. This is the single twisted macrame string in 3 millimeters. So for my basket, I used light gray and then off-white. So if you've got 2 rolls, then you can make 2 baskets, and you can mix and match the colors. And all of these are available on my website, which is valleybasketcompany.com. You will also need a scissors and a yarn needle, and then something for measuring. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so to get started, we'll take one end of our filler cord and make a clean cut at an angle. And then have your string cut to about 4 yards. And thread one end of your string in your needle. And then set that to the side. So we'll start with the non-needle side first. And then place the rest of your filler cord on your left side. So I've got my string on my right and my filler cord on my left. And that way they don't get tangled. So at about approximately 3 inches from the end of your cord is where we're going to start wrapping. And we'll wrap around our filler cord going to the right. So just place your string at about that point right on top of your filler cord so that the string is dangling down the front. And we'll just begin wrapping around our cord and the end of that string, just securing that in. And we'll wrap until about 3/4 of an inch remain. Then we're going to loop these 2 unworked sides together and hold that together. And so with our string down in the back, we're now going to wrap around the cord going to the left. And so the way that I'm wrapping around these is I'm going up the front, over the top, and down the back. Up the front, over the top, down the back. And give that about 6 to 8 wraps. Enough that it fills up that little end of the filler cord. And then we will loop this around going to the left. And so now we'll start securing the cord onto the previous row and then working our basket outwards. So this little circle that we did, that is considered row 1. Now we're going to be starting row 2. So in order to secure this, we'll grab our needle with the string, and we're just going to come right up through the center. We'll pull the needle out and we'll pull the rest of the string out as well. And you can set that needle back down. And now we'll just wrap around both of these. So that is called a double wrap, when we wrap between two rows. So I'm going to follow that up with 3 single wraps. Single wrap is when we go just around the filler cord, and I will follow that with another double wrap. And another 3 single wraps and a double. So for this particular basket, we will do 9 full rows for the base. And you'll just continue this pattern of wrapping for the entire base, making sure that when you're pulling through on your double wraps that you are pulling it all the way through so that you don't have extra string knots or kinks in the back here. And when you're pulling through for your double wraps, you'll always only be pulling through from the previous row. So once I make it all the way around for row 2 here, then I'll start pulling through from this row. And another tip that I have for you when working on the base, it's helpful to push it into a hard surface every once in a while. This will help create a really nice flat bottom. So if you're working on a table, that's great. If you're working on a couch or a chair, just have a big, like a children's book handy, and you can just press it into that. Okay, so now I'm working on row 3, and you can see that I'm now pulling through from row 2. Okay. So one tip for how to know what row you're on. So remember that little hump that we had when we first started? So we had row 1 here, and then we made kind of like an extension out, and then that started row 2. This is a great location for you to come back to and reference to know what row you're on, because all you need to do is have that little hump pointing to the left and then just count outwards what row you're on. So if we've got 1, 2, and 3, and so then you'll just keep going around and around, expanding your basket. And when you want to know what row you're on, just point that to the left and count outwards. Okay, so we're just going to keep doing this until we get to row 9. And when you have 9 full rows, then we'll start working upwards. But before we get to that, I also want to show you how to put in new string. So when you get to the end of the current string that you're on, or if you're wanting to change color, I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so to change string, you'll want to change when you have about 12 inches left of the current string that you're on. And to do so, just cut off another 3 or 4 yards of string and take one end and place it right along that filler cord. And we'll just wrap as we normally do. I would say for at least 3 wraps. I like to go about 5. Somewhere between 3 and 6 is good. Then take your needle off and put it on the other end of your new string. And set that to the side. And so then to change these, all we'll do is we'll just switch. So I will put the new string in my right hand, and I'll take the old string and lay it down along the filler cord, and I'll just continue wrapping. So the new string takes the place of the old string, and we'll wrap around that old string for, again, another 3 to 6 wraps. And you can continue to wrap around it, or you can cut off the remaining. I'm going to cut mine off because I have a lot here and I don't want to keep holding it. Perfect. Okay, so I have completed the base of my basket, which is 9 full rows, and now I'm going to start working upwards. And to work upwards, all you need to do is take your filler cord and place it right on top of that last row, and then keep doing that around and around. So if you place it directly on top and you keep doing that, your basket is going to have a flat, straight side, which is great. But for this one, we want it to bow out a little bit to make a nice shaped bowl. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold it slightly off. So if you were to take your filler cord and place it right along the side, and then right up on top, directly on top, and go halfway between those 2 points is about where you're going to want to hold it and continue wrapping. So this does take some practice, so no need to get frustrated. The first row that you do this will be the hardest, and then as you continue to work your basket upwards, it gets easier and easier with each row. But also keep in mind that there is no only one way to do it. However you hold it and however you angle it is perfect and unique to you. But if you don't like how it's going, you can always unwrap it and try again. Or there is a little bit of forgiveness as you go along. Once you've made the full bowl or basket, you really can't go back and bend it. But if you're going along and you notice that one row is off or too far in, you can shape it just a little bit before continuing on. And so for all my double wraps, I'm still pulling through from that previous row, except for now the row is below me instead of on the side. So like I said in the beginning, my basket on the side goes up 7 rows, and I'm actually counting this row when I do that. So it's 9 rows this way and then 7 rows coming up, and I'm kind of counting that one twice. So what I do when I'm angling my bowl is I will angle it outwards for another 3 rows, maybe 4, depending on how I want it to look. And then for the last 2 or 3 rows, I will just make it straight. And so I'll put my filler cord straight on top of the last row so that it bows out and then it comes in. And even for the very last row, what can be really pretty is if you even bring it inwards a little bit. And so you'll kind of create a curve that comes in. Really, again, depends on what you want your basket or bowl to look like, but those are all really good options and they make for really pretty bowls and baskets. And so then when you get to the end of your basket, the way that I like to finish is I'll cut an angle on my filler cord just like we did in the very beginning. And then for about the last 10 to 15 wraps, I will make them all double wraps. So you can see how I do that here, where I've angled it down and I have, at least 10, probably 15, maybe even closer to 20. These are all double wraps. And then I tie a knot, my very last one, I tie a knot on one of these previous rows double wraps. And then you can just cut off the remaining string. Okay, so I finished my basket. With this one, I did a yellow multicolored middle with a sand top. So I hope you give it a try. Let me know in the comments if you do. And if you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe.